So two things really piss me off. So the first thing that really annoys me is when you're standing at the pedestrian crossing and you're waiting patiently, you're just waiting for the to come, and somebody just leans across and pushes the button as well. What do you think I'm waiting for? Really annoys it. If that person is you, screw you. The second thing that really annoys me is when people tell me the site is down. It's absolutely unforgivable. We should always know what's going on our platform. So what I want to do today was actually take you through some really practical ways we actually implement things at Airtasker with New Relic. So I was going to take you through how we deal with going on TV, what happens when the Russians come to visit, and talk about what happens when we have a real problem with cute puppies. But first, this is Airtasker.
This is Airtasker. Just post a task you need help with, choose the right person for the job, and wait for the task to be done.
This is Jolene. She just came over and hooked up all the tech in my man cave. 40-inch screen, internet, surround sound, subwoofer, and like 500 electrical cords. And in an hour, when the homies come over, who do you suppose I tell them did it?
It was all you, tech boy.
So whether you love it or hate it, that ad, it really, really worked for us. So how well did it work? It worked this well. I love this chart. This is our growth chart. So this is what we call hypergrowth. So I think it's beautiful. If you were going to draw a growth chart, this is how you would draw it. I mean, it's lame-ass clip art good. It's just how you'd want a chart to be actually built. So the platform itself, in the last 18 months, we've gone from 300,000 users to 1.7 million users. And we're posting about 20,000 tasks a week, and we're growing about 10% month on month. So it's a really virtuous cycle we're on, and we're going to keep going this, and we're going to take the concept now to the UK. So let's go through some of the practical things of actually how we're using New Relic. So first thing is you need to set up your monitoring. So it's great to put everything in place, but also make sure you need to spread the word about what all the data you've got in your system. Now, last year we got investment. We raised 22 million from, and Seven West Media came on board. And Seven West have been fantastic. They gave us the ability to advertise on TV, like you just saw. They also gave us the ability to have content integration. So suddenly we could be on Better Homes and Gardens. We could be on things like House Rules. I thought I'd give you some real example of this is what actually happens to your site when you go on TV. Yeah, your servers are quite happily ticking along, and then, whoa, this huge Yosemite-type cliff face comes at you, and it goes away very quickly. But it's great because you're getting exposure. The only problem we had at Airtasker, we just kept going down every time we're on TV. So we fixed those different things up. But the other things we found was we would have this content integration. TV producers are terrible at telling you actually when you're going to go on. So suddenly you go, oh, we think we're going on at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then suddenly it doesn't happen, but it comes on at 11 o'clock. And so what we need to do is make sure we put a lot of dashboards around there. I'm going to be a bit embarrassed about this because I'm not showing insights. So I'll give you some this is practical. This is actually what some of the dashboards we have in our systems. Yes, we use insights, and it is a great tool. I do prefer Gecko board. Just because, and they are a partner of New Relic, so it's still contextual. But I like the fact you can put GA, we've got Twilio and things like that, because we've got lots of other services that need to go in there. And we've got the AppDex in there with monitoring database loads and things like that. The other dashboard we've got sitting in there, and I love dashboards because I'm CTO and useless now, is that we use Sumo Logic for our dashboards. So they're a partner here, so I can talk about it. And they look at different things. They're looking at different metrics. They're looking at how many times we get posts or bids or tasks to see what things, how things are actually going. The next thing is around alerting. So it's all great having monitors up there, and it's actually starting to show people that these servers are actually existing. But you're not always there, so you need to have some sort of alert. And Airtasker got to a certain threshold, which we were quite proud of. It was the day that the Russians came to town. So at some point, you get to a certain point, and it's great, the Russians are here. And it was a Sunday night, and I was playing with the kids, and we noticed, suddenly got an alert saying there's a whole bunch of 400 errors coming through, which is out of the normal. And so we had a look, and what they were basically doing was they're running a script that had a whole bunch of username and passwords, and they were trying to find a match. So they're going through different things. So we trapped it, we blocked that particular user. And that was fine. Then the next day, we started to go into a bit of a deep dive of actually what happened. And we saw which ones actually had a match. And so we used New Relic to be able to find that, and then we combined that with our logging with Sumo Logic to be able to go to deep dive. And then we found out that some people did have a match. And suddenly there was a guy in Austin, Texas, who was actually sniffing around using those accounts and having a look. We're Australia only, so that's clearly not a real user. And again, we blocked them. But I think it's a really good example of you can find out the alert, you can dig in, and if you can actually find traces all the way through and find the entire journey of what is that potential hack, I think that's an incredibly powerful story. So what we do is we have a lot of alerts set up in our system. So we have a lot of different threshold metric alerts. So what happens at different app dexes, what happens to CPU, RAM, and those sort of things. So that's good. You know where things are up or down or is about to fall over. That's your bare minimum you should all be doing. If you guys aren't doing that, you'd be slapping yourself on the wrist. I'm really excited, an American's super excited, about the applied intelligence, because this is what we actually do with using Sumo. What we do is we look at the norm, and then we put that into a bell curve. And we look at what is take the standard deviation, and what is 2 standard deviations from the norm, is we send an alert. That's exactly where you need to start to get to now if you're not there already. Is you need to be not knowing whether things are up or down. That's not good enough. You need to know, is something strange happening in there? Is there someone who's, lots of 400 errors for someone trying to hack you is easy to find. But is somebody just doing that script over a 24-hour period? They're the type of things you need to put in there. The other thing is, one of the best products I think actually New Relic has is synthetics, and it's completely undersold on how you should use it. I think, in the engineering, I'm sure you guys have a huge amount of tests around what happens in your dev environment. You've got your unit tests, you've got your automation regressional scripts, all those things. You've all that in your dev. But in production, how many production scripts are you actually running? How many regression tests are you running in production? What we do at Airtasker is we have a rule that wherever 80% of our users are, we make sure we have a synthetic monitoring script. So we take those Selenium scripts, we take it for our engineering in our dev environment, and we put those into production. It's great to know in dev that you are not introducing bugs. I really, really want to know about the bugs in production, where am I actually generating my revenue? So have a look through that. And how we actually do alerts is we combine New Relic and OpsGenie. I have used PagerDuty, who were another sponsor here before at my previous company. They were great, looking for a massive discount. So having these tools plugged in, obviously there's really great for things like scheduling and acknowledgement, so you don't keep getting alerts all the time. But even if you're a one-man band or just a small little startup, it's well worth investing in these tools. Because it's basic things like, if you get a text message, your phone's on silent, you don't see it. Where these tools will alert you anyway, it will ignore your silent, in your silent mode. The only thing is, my wife hates it. Hates it. And then there's a deep dive. So obviously, the crown jewels of New Relic is APM. And what's interesting is that the new cloud environment, our modern day cloud environment, is a nightmare. I mean, we've got multiple AWS accounts, multiple cloud accounts. Our servers are expanding, contracting. We never know how many are in there. We're deploying all the time. The environment's continually changing, and having a centralized place to know this is what's happening in your environment is incredibly important. One of the problems we actually had at Airtasker is we put a task up there where you could spend a day basically cuddling puppies, and we'll give you $500 to do that. And oh my God, it went viral. So suddenly our system decided, we had thousands of bids, thousands of comments on a system that was never designed to be able to do that. And what was happening is, it was great, we get lots of exposure, but every now and again, things would be quite happy, and then boom, the database would go out. You go, okay, that's not good. And then it'd come out, and then it'd be fine again for a couple of hours, and boom, it would go out again. And by looking at APM, we could actually see and delve into actually what was going on, and then we could go into our logs as well to confirm that was the actual action. What it turns out to be was we normally send about 1.5 million notifications every day. It suddenly jumped up to 2.5 million, it hit a certain threshold. We found out where every single time somebody puts a bid, we let everyone else know there's a bid. And because there's thousands of bids, then they're suddenly sending out 10,000 notifications and 10,000 writes to the database. We can't be anywhere near New Relic scale. So anyway, having those tools, I highly recommend the fact you're doing these courses today, if you're not very good at APM, become really good at it. It should be an absolute core competency of everyone in your engineering team. So a couple of takeaways for me would be, your job is to now be much, much better than knowing if your site is up or down or you've hit a certain metrics. I think this applied intelligence is a fantastic thing, and we've been using it at Airtasker, and we've caught so many issues before it became a revenue-generating issue. The other thing is, make sure you learn to love your synthetics. So count out how many tests are you running in production? How many tests are you running in dev? You should be at least equal. And finally, make sure you do build some cool dashboards in your environments. It really is the only way management has any clue about what you do. Thank you very much.